I haven't said anything about the John McPhee show going around, and that's going to change right now. So let me start with Valhalla VFT, Nate Cornholio, whatever his name is.
I am Cornholio. I need TV for my bunghole.
Alright, you're a cunt for taking this line of attack against John McPhee. Probably something I should have expected from a little bitch like you. John McPhee showed up at my house today and said, hey, I need another shield and spear to go deal with this Valhalla. Well, I'm going to say who's driving.
And apparently there's a lot of drama in the Green Beret space where Valhalla VTF, I'm dyslexic as hell, too many letters. God, just like my name, I should change it. But it looks like there is some drama as people over on X are now calling out Valhalla in regards to his video about John McPhee and kind of making some statements from the older head crowd during the OEF era, where a lot of the action was happening after Nate had been in the Green Beret Army sphere, you know, in the mid 2010s-ish, in comparison, and kind of gives some aspect to that. And to give you guys a heads up, it was this video here, which has John McPhee on there. I think it has like 900,000 something views right now. And essentially, there is some rebuttal to this that is important to see on both sides of the aisle.
Did John McPhee get his tab revoked? Yeah, okay. Do I care that he presents himself as a soft CSM in his public life? No, I don't give a all right, he was a command sergeant major over at Delta Force. Doing real boy. All right, I'll go if he got reduced to Eagle Scout before it was all over. It's irrelevant. He earned his position. He earned the right to say what he wants about you like that. You're over here holding up your hat and your little yellow flash and talking about rules and regs and written in a book by somebody down in Tampa. All right, maybe that's what your little yellow flash means. All right, but this one right here, this one means win at any cost. I dare say that's what the one on John McPhee's hat means too.
I actually do agree with that. Like, out of all the technicality of the John McPhee video that was there, the fact that, yes, he retired as an E8 Master Sergeant and not a Green Beret, and that was removed. I'm going to do an illegal analysis of that with a military lawyer coming up very soon to kind of go over some of that stuff as well. But looking at it from this perspective, I'm like, he did serve in that capacity. Did he quotations retire in it? No, it's irrelevant to me. And even so, it looks like it was the last 2 years where it wasn't really like anybody would be doing anything besides trying to retire out. But that's just my viewpoint of that.
I'm going to tell your cherry ass a story about somebody else who got their tab revoked, all right, because it's especially relevant to you and your group. All right, although you were pulling your putt in junior high when it happened. All right, I had a teammate named John Garrett. Same domestic after it was all over. Got his tab revoked, finally retired as an 11 Bravo. All right, he's still Green Beret John Garrett and me and the rest of the guys that were there, because he was with us in the fucking streets of Baghdad in 2007 when the killing was real. All right. John was a monster. All right, we found a bullet lodged in his arm drinking beers in the team room one night with a metal detector that somehow the hospital missed. All right, dude shot him with a pistol right before an S-vest went off. All right, but John Garrett stayed in the fight with us because the troop was like a 1/3 casualty rate. And they'd already had to fly the Cephalic Committee over from the United States, all right, to keep us in the war. All right, that was the fucking kind of meat grinder we were dealing with back then, back in the day. Right.
Mind you, this guy is talking about situations that were before his time and kind of reflecting on the landscape, the engagement, the kinetics that were happening on the ground early 2000s, okay? Something that Nate did not experience, so that's kind of there. And on top of that, he is kind of deciphering that just because headquarters whatever says this, we know, as I've covered this channel, what the military says happens and what actually happens. And, you know, there's a lot of he said, she said as things go throughout this entire process. And that is something that's interesting that should be rebutted or refuted a little bit from his takes on the John McPhee situation.
And while I wasn't in John McPhee's unit, he's right down the street with his squadron doing the same. All right. John Garrett was also there, directly, again, relevant to you, when we had to go down to Diwania to clean up first group's mess. Nate Winder had gotten killed. Nate Winder's a friend of mine. He was a first group guy. I used to play soccer with him in the fucking Q course. He'd managed to get killed, as well as that ODA had managed to get their entire team house blown up. All right? So it's personal to me. I knew Winder. All right, wasn't personal to John Guerra, but one of his regimental brothers had been killed, and he sure as fuck coming along for the ride. And we did. We went down. Same thing you do. Your little brother's getting pushed in. All right, you go step up and you regulate. And we did. We fished out of those cocksuckers. Made enough white space for first group ODA to ask for some Legos to put their team house back together. Even back then, though, it was unappreciated. Right? After we killed the local beheader cell, the Iraqi commandos looted the house, walk into the ops center, another like you, the captain, talking about the law of land warfare, and I can't believe they stole these scimitars and samurai swords in the Xbox.
Now, I'll be honest, I'm a 2008 guy. Did not go and do this. I wasn't there. But when you join at that time frame, that's kind of right as the cool-off period was happening, and I had a lot of people that were in from 2004 and stuff that were kind of step on to me. And everybody can tell you that from 2003, 2004, where it was go level this place, go take these people, go do whatever, we're not counting rounds, we're not doing any of that BS, to the political sphere that changed definitely during the new rules of engagement and all that stuff were definitely different during Nate's era being in the Green Beret and kind of experiencing that in the 2010 era.
John Guerra was also there. We did the plainside service for another first group brother of yours, long before your time, Mike Tully. I also knew Mike Tully very well. He was my Lurslick instructor. We went to selection together. He got killed by an IED right outside the flying man. All right? Only plainside service that my unit has ever been asked to do. All right? I'm there. Again, personal for me. I knew Mike. Not personal for John Guerra. All right? But one of his regimental brothers has been killed, so he takes it seriously. 6 hours later, they find a bomb maker in the Jihad neighborhood. Well, who did they send to clean up the mess? Right? They knew what they were asking for, and we gave it to them. Burned 2 city blocks to the ground, Winchester gun, and then pissed in the rubble. Detainees, 0. But I guess John Guerra, because he got his tab revoked, right, despite cleaning up your roof mess twice, all right, I guess he's a nobody too. All right, he's some 11 Bravo that doesn't get to call himself a soft guy. You. The issue of detainee abuse that you brought up, which never should have been brought to the light of day, do I give a shit? No, I don't. All right. Once again, you cherry a new guy. If you've ever seen the aftermath of one of your sources or one of your Taji soldiers, or God forbid, if an American get chewed up by a torture cell, you find their desecrated corpse, all right, see their head get cut off by a beheader cell, all right, you wouldn't give a about detainee abuse. Right.
As much as I know there is the legal way of looking at this, I understand this mindset. We talked about people on this channel such as Eddie Gallagher, the Navy SEAL that was being charged with war crimes, for example, because of his treatment of detainees and things like that. And so when I look at this, I'm like, these are the people that we've asked to do America's bidding. These are those guys.
They picked the rules, not us. We did what needed to be done. You know, call Ma and Pa Kettle from the farm back in Kansas, tell them little Johnny smeared across Route Tampa, and I got to clean him up with a sponge, but we'll send you the pieces that are left. All right, because some, like Nate from First Group, wanted us to ask nice. You. End of the day, all right, I don't give a what anybody else thinks about John McPhee. All right, he earned his hat, he earned his tab. All right, and if the queers down at Tampa decided to revoke his Dakota ring and all this other, all right, he can have mine. All right, he earned it more than I did. And we both earned it more than you. Detainee abuse. That's really rich coming from like you with Valhalla in his company name. Those that actually believed in Valhalla knew you got taken alive, are you going to sacrifice on an altar to Wotan, all right, or crucified on the road to Rome, all right? It's once again you glomming on the warrior ethos that you don't understand in the slightest. All right? You're holding on to your valor device like it's some talisman of you not being a pussy, and you're wrong. All right, your regimental brothers, we see you for what you are. This is alleged domestic with John McPhee. All right, do I condone it? No, absolutely not. All right, that's terrible. All right, whatever happened with his ex-wife and this other, terrible. But I do cut him some slack, all right, because I understand the op tempo that was going on back in the early parts of the war. Something again, your cherry doesn't. All right, early part of the war, SIFs, Delta, Rangers, like anybody else that was the real boy task force, had a psycho op tempo, doing 4 on and 4 off, Baghdad to Bragg sometimes. While we're there running 3-4 hits a night, all right, coming back when the sun's coming up, you're out of shotgun shells and charges, sleep for 2 hours, get flashbanged out of bed, someone popped up in the broad daylight, somebody's got to go get them. as somebody new. All right, here we go. We're talking about cumulative TBI injury at a grade that you new guys will never understand. All right. I cannot believe the audacity, anyway, of this made move of bringing up some that never should have been brought to light of day. Something between John and the legal system and the Army. All right, and you want to drag it into the daylight and try to smear this man's reputation.
And that is something I will say from this is, in appearance, the John McPhee situation was very much a handled, done case by the Army already. He got in trouble. I'm going to have a legal analysis of that coming very soon, kind of breaking all that down and kind of speculating on some of the stuff that could have came from that. But John McPhee was never formally charged, and that's why he's saying this is alleged, right? All of this. And so looking at that, plus the idea of, combat injuries, things like that, it does make you wonder. This is no secret between people that were even made as heroes in the movies, such as Chris Kyle. I'm not saying it's okay because it was prevalent, but I do think context matters for a lot of these guys. And I think it's now taking, 2025 now, where we're having, how many people talk about how hard it was? It takes years to decompress that, years to kind of not be in that fight or flight. And there's a lot of layers to this.
All right. Are me and John McPhee boys? No, absolutely not. All right. In fact, I called him out over the Tim Kennedy. Said he owed us an explanation since he knew what was going on. That's the way shit works. And if John McPhee shows up at my house today and wants to fucking fight about it, well, then we'll do that. All right. This is probably a fight that I'm not going to win because I've met John McPhee. He actually is a retard strong. But that is the price of opening your mouth in a warrior society. At the same time, John McPhee shows up at my house today and says, hey, I need another shield and spear to go deal with this Valhalla. Well, I'm going to say who's driving. All right, because again, that's what you do. All right, you back your brother's play. You don't bring up some paperwork treat. All right, that's some weak sisters like I've never seen. So, you.
So you're seeing that Nate has traded some level of allegiance to the Green Beret, I would say, in his social sphere of people, and maybe gotten some praise or approval from other people because of this, because he's exposed the Tim Kennedy stuff, which even he noted that was there. So that's interesting. But Nate's response to this shows that there's more to the story about this individual that essentially might have had a bias to supporting John McPhee during this.
So you may have seen Green Beret Clay Martin attack me and defending John McPhee for his domestic violence and violence against women. Wonder why. I wonder if it has anything to do with this.
Now that says here, this is Clayton Lamar Martin, 24 years old, Tonkawa, domestic child neglect, child abuse by injury.
So let me start with Valhalla VFT, Nate Cornholio, whatever your name is. All right, you're a cunt.
Honor? Not many honorable men I know get arrested for beating women and abusing children. But it does make sense why you defended Shrek now, doesn't it?
And I don't see any charges that were like confirmed or court documents. These look like they were booking charges, which, by the time it gets to court or whatever, they could say anything you did was, which, to be fair to the legal system that is out there, these are all things that were charges put against him. Doesn't mean that he was actually charged with them. So yeah, the vet bro fatigue continues on, but it is interesting to see how this is so drama filled. The last time I think we saw this was the Navy SEAL era, where people were for or against Eddie Gallagher in that situation. So I'm just sitting here and I'm like, we will sit back, grab our popcorn, and just watch all of this unfold, essentially. But, yeah, I'd love to see what you guys think about this whole situation with these Green Berets going at each other's throats.